Good morning. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and walk you through how to make the base plate. We're going to start with a green plus to create the sketch. We're going to click one of these work planes. I'm going to go ahead and create a 2-point rectangle. Let's go ahead and draw the rectangle. Now make sure that your part is in inches because all of our dimensions are in inches. Okay, the width is 4.25. Right, and the depth is also meant to be 4.25, 4.25. Now we're only going to make the half of the part. So when we extrude it, we're going to do E for extrude. We're going to do, it says the total thickness is 0.48. We're only going to do half of it. So we're going to do 0.24. Okay. All right. And then now let's go ahead. We're going to make a new sketch. Right click and create sketch. Now, first I'm going to do, in the paper that you guys measured all of your dimensions on, the square is at the bottom left, so I'm going to go ahead and draw that square. I'm going to do D for dimension. The left edge of the square is 0.406 from the left edge. And it's also 0.406, the bottom of it is 0.406 from the bottom edge. 0.406. And the width of it is going to be 1¼ inches. So this one is 1¼ inches. 1.25. This one is also 1.25. 1.25. Notice after it's fully dimensioned, everything, all four of those lines of the square are black. Okay. Now I'm going to do extrude, and I'm going to click that square, and it's going out. I want to go in. So see, notice it goes to cut, and I'm going to change it from a extend type from distance to all, so it goes to the whole part. We click OK. There we go. So next, I'm going to go ahead and right-click and make a new sketch again. Create sketch. And I'm going to go ahead and make this rectangle notch up here at the top right. Okay. The width of it is 1.75 inches, so D for dimension. This is 1.75, 1.75. And the thickness is 0.5. Notice how these two are blue. Okay, and this one's black. Once I've dimensioned everything, you'll notice it should all go black. The width of it is 0.5. There we go. And now the next thing I need to do is I need to make sure from here down to the bottom is 3.25. So 3.25. There we go. Now I'm going to hit E for extrude, and I'm going to click on that, and then it's going out. I need to go in the other direction. I'm going to change it from distance to all, so it cuts through the whole part, and we click OK. Okay, so that's done. Now I'm going to right-click and make a new sketch. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just click on this zoom, so it automatically fits to the screen. Now, okay, if you notice at the top left, there are 4 holes. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make one of those first. I'm going to click the down arrow where it says create, and I'm going to click on point, and I'm going to set the one at the top left. Now I'm going to hit D for dimension. From that point to the left edge is 0.406. So I'm going to set that to be 0.406. Now from that point to the bottom is 3.875. So I'm going to dimension from here to the bottom down here is 3.875, 3.875. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to take that hole and I'm going to go ahead and create a rectangular pattern. So I'm going to click on this down arrow under create, and I'm going to choose rectangular pattern. Now the first thing I need to do is a rectangular pattern that's shown up here. is this blue box. The select is chosen, so I'm going to select the thing that I'm going to try to pattern. So I'm going to pattern the hole. So I click on the hole. Okay. Now it's trying to do in the right direction. How far is it supposed to be in the right direction? Instead of 3 of them, it's supposed to do 2 of them because I want 2 holes because there's 4 at the top left. And the distance left to right is supposed to be 1.25. Let's see, is it? No, it's 1.5 minus 0.375. So 1.5 minus 0.375. Okay. So that created another hole, okay, from left to right. Now, we want to do it in 2 directions. That is in the X direction to the right. I also want to change it to the go down, okay? So that does 2 this way. Now, I want to go ahead and change the arrow so that it goes down. There we go. And now notice it's giving me a negative number. So I'm going to have to go ahead and when I enter that, make it negative because down is going to be negative. Now the distance is supposed to be 3.875 minus 2.75. So I'm going to do minus 3.875 minus 2.75. I guess it's going to be a negative 3.875 plus 2.75. There we go. Okay. There we go. All right. And then we click OK. All right. So we just made those 4 holes. All right. Or we made points for those 4 holes. We're going to do another rectangular pattern down here at the bottom, right? Because there's 4 of them again. So I'm going to go ahead and click on create. And I'm going to go ahead and click on point. And I'm going to do the one kind of at the top left. Don't let it line up with the top of the square because that could be a problem. I'm going to deliberately not let it line up with that. Now the dimension, in this case, I'm going to do D for dimension. The top left to the left edge is supposed to be 2.75. So I'm going to set that to be 2.75, 2.75. Good. And now from the hole down to the bottom is 1.5. So from the hole down to the bottom edge is 1.5. So I'm going to set that to be 1.5. Okay. Now I'm going to do under create, I'm going to choose the down arrow and I'm going to create a rectangular pattern again. And I'm going to go ahead and pattern this hole. And in the right direction, I'm going to change it. So instead of 3, it's going to be 2. And how far is it supposed to be? It's supposed to be 3.875 minus 2.75. So let me go ahead and enter that. 3.875 minus 2.75. Okay. Now that's done in the right direction. Now I need to go ahead and take the up arrow and make that to go down. And I'm going to change that to 2 because we're going to do 2 holes in the Y direction. And again, notice it's negative. Now the distance is 3.375 minus, I'm sorry, 1.5 minus 3 minus 0.375. So what I'm going to do is make sure it's negative. So I'm going to do negative and I'm going to open parentheses. And it's supposed to be 1.5 minus 0.375. Now close parentheses. Now we click OK. Okay, good. So now we've got these 4 points at the top left and these 4 points at the bottom. Now all I need to do is I need to go ahead and make the holes. Now this hole up here and this hole at the top left here are both the same size. I measured them both as being 0.23. So I'm going to make those first. Okay, I'm going to first finish sketch and I'm going to click on the hole and I'm going to choose those 2, only those 2 because they're going to be the same size. And instead of the extent to be distance, it's going to be all. And then now I need to set the diameter. So I'm going to scroll down here until I can see the diameter. All right. And the diameter I measured as 0.23. So 0.223. There we go. Now notice it makes both of those holes the exact same size. Now you'll notice that we can't see the other points. All right, so I'm going to need to go ahead and get those points back so that we can actually see them. So I'm going to click on the arrow next to sketches, and I'm going to click on the most recent sketch. Sketch 4 is the one with the holes, one on the bottom. So I'm going to click on that eyeball. Now notice I can see all the rest of those holes again. All right, the next holes I'm going to do is this one at the top left, this one at the bottom left, and then this one at the bottom left, and this one at the top left are all going to be the same size. So I'm going to click on hole, and I'm going to choose this one at the top right, and the bottom left, and the top right, and the bottom left. I measured that all 4 of those are supposed to be, change the distance to all. Okay, and I need to scroll down, and the diameter is supposed to be, I measured them all to be the same, 0.177, 0.177, and now we click OK. All right, so those 4 holes are done. Now these last 2 holes that are left, all right, are going to be the same size as well. I'm going to click on create, and I'm going to click on this one at the bottom right and this one at the bottom right, and we're going to change that from distance to all. And now I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to set the diameter. The diameter for this one, I measured them both as 0.191, 0.191. Okay, that one's done. Now there's one other hole, and this is a different size that goes right. Let me go ahead. I don't need to see sketch 4, so I'm going to click on the eyeball to hide that sketch. And I'm going to make a new sketch, so I'm going to right-click on the face, and I'm going to create sketch. And now I'm going to go ahead and do create, and I'm going to do point. And this hole is kind of right around there. And I'm going to dimension from this point way on the bottom. Okay, let me correct that. This one is 2.875, 2.875. That's better. And then from this point to the right edge, oops, I got to do D for dimension. From this point to the right edge, there we go, is going to be 0.875, 0.875. All right, and now I'm done with that sketch. So I'm going to finish sketch, and then I'm going to click on hole, and I'm going to click that. We're going to set the last hole, and this hole, I measured the diameter as 0.2. So we're going to set the distance to all, and I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to set the diameter to 0.2. There we go. Okay, so that's how to make the base plate for activity 132. Let me go ahead and save it, make sure that it's saved.